Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Coach Dub, got Justin Wells. Thank you for watching, recording this one today, but appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and head to InsideTexas.com. Use promo code IT1. Get yourself 2 months of access for just $1. We're about to be entering a great stretch of Longhorn news. We got the bye week, but that means coaches are going to be on the road. We'll talk about that a little bit more as the week goes on, but we got a few different topics today. Latest on Florida State commit Daylan McCutcheon. Could Texas host a 5-star committed elsewhere? And then we'll talk a little bit about early enrollees. But real quick, this is a bye week for the Longhorns. The recruiting, the coaches will be out on the road recruiting. I know there are some changes in, how often coaches can go out on the road and things like that. But this is going to be an opportunity, Justin, for Steve Sarkisian and a lot of assistants to go see some of their commits and top targets in this first bye week.
It is. You know what? It's fun to walk into high schools when you're number 2 in the AP poll, number 1 in the coaches poll. You're undefeated. You've got a scoring margin of like 45-7. You know what? Sark's going to strut around, and so are some of these assistant coaches. Look, this is really about just making sure you're nailing down those 25s, make sure everything's buttoned up and taken care of. And really, you're evaluating some 2026s. You're going to go in a little bit more depth on those guys, I feel like, this week. And then whatever school you go by, there is going to be a 2027 or a 2028 that they're going to need to know. And they're going to write those names down, and those things are going to become those will trickle out more and more when we start seeing junior days and camps and stuff like that. And so, I've had coaches tell me before, there's really not a stronger influence than when a coach walks into an office in any high school in Texas wearing a Texas shirt. There's something about when you put that logo on, people just look at you different. Coaches look at you different. Players definitely look at you different. And when you're 5-0, number 1, number 2 in the country, about to get ready for a fist fight in Norman in 2 weeks, they got a lot of in Norman, in Dallas. Oh, goodness gracious, long day. They know what they're getting into, and so I think Sark and these guys are going to be fired up to hit the road.
Charlie, what are the things that coaches do at these visits? I mean, obviously they watch the games, they see how the players play on the field, but what are some other things that Sark or any assistant might do on these trips?
Yeah, it's honestly, like Justin said, the 2025 guys, even though you're going to see some of the guys you got committed to you and you've been recruiting and maybe be on your board, you're also going by to say, okay, put your eyes on the kid and say, he doesn't check the box. So you're probably going to move on from him and then probably add another guy to the board. So you got two sides of the coin that, recruiting, trying to finish the 25 class and then take guys off the board if they don't meet your standards as well. So you get to find out a lot when you go and visit these schools. Other than that, like Justin said, you're looking for 26 and 27 guys, even though you're not probably offering unless he's just some absolute stud who already has 15, 20 offers and you want to jump in early. But other than that, you're just kind of going and putting your eyes on guys and setting up for the future recruiting pitches and recruiting boards for the future, pretty much.
So let's talk about one of the guys maybe that they'll go see that saw Texas, I believe, this past weekend. I think it's very intriguing. The school he committed to played in his hometown, but he decided to drive to Austin instead to watch the Longhorns, and that is Florida State commit Daylan McCutcheon. He did not go to University Park to see the Mustangs take on the Seminoles. He came to Texas to watch the Longhorns battle the Bulldogs. And Justin, this is a player that Texas has recruited for a long time, continues to recruit, hosted on a visit. What's the latest with how the Longhorns have been with Daylan McCutcheon?
Good. Texas and Daylan McCutcheon look good. Listen, it's one thing to take a few trips when you're committed to another school within your own state because you're close to home. The proximity, they went to Texas A&M the weekend before, Austin this weekend. But guys, I don't know if I've ever seen a commit where their team they're committed to is literally in their town playing a road game. And you're like, nah, I'm going to head to Austin. I'm going to drive 4 hours instead of 25 minutes. I mean, buddy, I keep trying to tell people Daylan's solid to FSU, but, he's looking around. I can't keep saying that. Nobody's going to believe me. I think Texas is in a great pouncing position right now. I think they want 3, possibly 4 receivers in this cycle. I think Michael Terry's going to factor in that as well. But listen, they love Daylan McCutcheon. They've loved him even in the summertime, right before he committed to Florida State. This was an open offer to commit to, and it still is. They really like him. They think he's very complimentary to Jamie Lockett and Khalid French. See how I did that?
I was about to say.
Yeah, you see how I did that. They're very complimentary to each other. And Daylan might be one of the most complete receivers in the country. Like, he really doesn't have a weakness. And so I think Texas and Daylan are in great position. I don't know how much longer he's going to be committed to Florida State. I know there's a handful of schools that are still calling him, trying to get him on campus. But if he does decommit, I think Texas is the clear leader in that recruitment.
What does he bring to the table on the field, Charlie? He's the number 104 wide receiver, number 4 or 104 overall prospect, 14 wide receiver, 21 player in Texas. On3 thinks higher of him than any other service. What does he bring on the field?
This may sound kind of cliche, but he has the same body type and build as DeAndre Moore and Jordan Whittington.
Yes,
he's a big, tall receiver who can run routes, but he can mix it up and get dirty and block guys too. And so he has great hands. But he's the guy you want on perimeter screens, blocking for the quick, twitchy, speedy guy. But he also can run routes and get open versus anybody. I think he's a little faster than most people give him credit for, because he'll run by some guys too. So he's just a complete receiver, like Justin said. He does it all, and his tool bag is big.
Charlie, did you see any of my story I wrote on McCutcheon yesterday? I tried to make the DeAndre Moore comp there. He actually talked to DeAndre, and it just hit me Saturday night. I'm thinking, these two are very similar. I mean, obviously DeAndre's a little more polished, and I think Daylan's a little faster. But, man, you nailed it. Like, I think those two guys kind of mirror each other. Good call, Coach.
One of the other things that appeals to me, he plays in a Todd Dodge offense. And if you're a receiver, there's some complex things going on there, especially at Lucas Lovejoy. And that's something that translates, I feel like, to Texas football. Look at where Matthew Golden came from. Granted, college, came from Houston, receiver-heavy offense. Isaiah Bond, even, guys like Jonte Cook and Ryan Wingo, like some of their offenses were pretty complex at the high school level. Daylan McCutcheon's the same way. I feel like that's something that helps translate to the next level. And if you want to watch, if you're like Daylan McCutcheon and you want to head to Austin for any of the big games, well, then you got to go to Game Time app, or gametime.co. This is the place to get tickets. You get the all-in price. You don't put things in the cart and then get hit with $45 worth of fees. You get to see what the view is from your tickets. You get to have all these different great additions from Game Time. And it's not just Texas football. It's F1. It is MLB postseason. The wild card starts on Tuesday. All the Astros fans who are watching, you can get tickets on Game Time. So head to gametime.co or use the Game Time app. Use the promo code ON3 and get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but if you want to see where your seats are and the full price you will be paying, use Game Time. Promo code ON3. $20 off your first purchase. And once again, terms apply. Charlie, you were on the road on Friday night. You got to go check out a McKinney High School game. And you didn't see just one Pettijohn, Riley, who I think we're all very familiar with, dominate. You saw basically the whole Pettijohn family have a great game. But let's start with Riley, what he told you. Obviously, he's an Ohio State commit. He was a linebacker target for Johnny Nansen and the Longhorns for a long time, committed to the Buckeyes, but this one's not closed quite yet.
Nah, I got the chance to sit with talk to mom and dad, actually, as well as at the game. But after the game, Riley told me he'll be visiting Texas when they take on Georgia October 19th. He's excited to see that game and just see how the Longhorns perform against Georgia. It's a two big teams clashing, going at each other. And so he wanted to let me know, hey, I'm locked in, but I really want to see what Texas has, right, in person. And so, and Dad kind of followed the same thing. But, you know, the whole family is just excited about just kind of see what Texas has to offer, man. Maybe options become open. Who knows? Hey, all you can have, hey, you have a chance, right? As long as he's listening and he's talking to Coach Sark, and we mentioned that on IT a few weeks ago that he's taking Coach Sark's phone calls. As long as there's a chance, man, a slight window, hey, you try to jump in that thing. Signing day is not until December, so keep swinging the bat.
What about his brothers? They had some big games as well, playing alongside older brother Riley.
It's unfair. You got 3 Pettijohns, but they all are the same physical specimens, man. I mean, even from Cam, the 2027 kid, to Clark, 2026, they were making plays all over the field in the backfield, covering guys down the field. They all can move. They all can run. They all look like safeties, but they play linebacker. I know that's maybe that's just the new
kind of like Riley.
Yeah, kind of like Riley. They play everything, though. You see them on kickoff return. You see them on every special teams there is. And then, hey, they line up on offense, too. It's like, man, these kids don't get a break, but you can tell they love it. They love football. It's ingrained in them from the dad, and they're just a competitive family. But, man, those guys balled out Friday night.
Justin, when it comes to the Pettijohns, obviously this is a recruitment that Texas was in on for a long time, way back in the summer, went Ohio State's way. But is this just kind of an example, one of the first we know of, at least, of how Texas' successful season so far will keep doors open throughout the cycle until signing day?
I think it's a prime example. I really do. Because Texas is going to continue. We know how Sark likes to take his time, and he doesn't like to pressure or push or any of that. But we know that they've had, a couple hundred prospects try to get tickets for Texas and Georgia. And it's become a very hot ticket to the point where if you're going to be a guest there, then you're probably a priority at this stage. And so, kids see Texas doing well. You can't base it on one game, but you give them a sample size of a month, and buddy, they start looking pretty good. They look even better than they did before, and they've already been looking good. This was a college football playoff team and a Big 12 champion last year, and they're going to be in the mix in the SEC this year. That it's a prime example of, hey, look at the TV, look on the field, kind of see what the product looks like. But I'm going to maintain this till this kid signs on National Signing Day. Riley Pettijohn wants to go to Texas. I believe that in my bones. I believe that's why they've continued the conversations. I believe that's why Texas is still in the mix, and I believe that's why he's going to be on campus in 2.5, 3 weeks. I think Riley Pettijohn in Texas makes a ton of sense, and I don't think this recruitment is over at all.
Would create a very formidable 2-man class, and I know they're looking for more at linebacker along with Elijah Barnes. If you add Riley Pettijohn to him, they're looking at Madden Ferrimo around the country at linebackers. So
Nathaniel Owosu Boateng as well. But I'll say this: you flip Riley Pettijohn, you're done for the cycle. You go ahead and close the door, lock it behind you. Let's set the code,
and maybe check the portal.
Maybe. Well, you know what? The way up, because Benda is just bringing some seniority to this bunch. He was the best linebacker on the field Saturday, guys. Yeah, David Benda was tremendous, not just on the stats and the box score, but on tape. He was tremendous. You're probably going to have to replace that. But, man, the youth at linebacker is really good, and you don't want to stunt the growth of a Leona Lafau, of a Ty Anthony Smith. Leona might move to Mike backer in the spring, Joe, which would put Anthony a little bit maybe on some will or something outside. They could have a lot of fun there, but I think you're right. I think if Pettijohn comes in, they'll close the door, but they're probably.
I will say, to add there, Jonathan Cunningham's been having a great senior season.
Huge.
He's blowing. I mean, he's destroying teams.
He's one of the reasons they've had such a great season, Coach.
Yes, I will say that. I'm curious to see how much weight he gains because he's a little smaller frame, but man, he's dominating right now.
I see some Mo Blackwell there. I really do.
And thank you for bringing him up. I was thinking, there's not just one linebacker in this class. So thank you for reminding me about Jonathan Cunningham. And as well, we got to talk about some of the other guys in the 2025 class. It's about the time of year where most players if they're in this class, they're going to be locked in and they're starting to make December plans. And those December plans include graduating early and getting ready to move in Austin after signing the letter of intent to be an early enrollee. And Justin, so far, we had 19 or so out of the 22 last year enroll
18.
early.
18.
Most of the transfers are also able to make it in time for spring ball, at least the winter window transfers. We haven't gotten any of those yet, but we are anticipating that most of the guys in this 2025 class are going to be enrolling early, correct?
Yeah. So moving forward, we've got a new standard at Inside Texas when it comes to number management, recruiting, this, that, and the other. We're not asking if you're an early enrollee anymore. You're not allowed to. At InsideTexas.com, to all our community, they understand. Do not ask us if a kid is enrolling early anymore. You just assume he is. The question is, who isn't enrolling early? That is the new fad. That's what Sark wants. He wants kids that are so eager to play college football in Austin that they skip half their senior year to start that new life in January. And so at Texas, this is the new norm, guys. We no longer ask, well, is so-and-so going to enroll early? Probably. What we ask is who isn't. And right now, we're still checking on a couple of them. We're going to have that updated probably today, maybe even tomorrow at InsideTexas.com. So be sure and check that out. But I'm telling you right now, we don't ask who's an early enrollee anymore, because I'm going to say 80 to 90% of who Sark signs in the future are going to be early enrollees just by the trend over the last 2 cycles. And so right now it's and how many are in the class right now? 20 or 21?
Right at 20. Yeah.
Right at 20. Yeah. So that leaves you room for about 5 or 6 more, maybe even 7 if you need to stretch it slightly. But out of those 20, I think we have 17 that are enrolling early. And it's only because we haven't confirmed the other 3. So the question now is, who isn't enrolling early in this class of 2025? And that is the news we need to get you.
From a team perspective, let's think about what happens at the end of every season, especially at a place like Texas, where they're going to probably have 10 or so guys go to the NFL, maybe 8, maybe 12, but somewhere you can just call it 10 in the range. You're going to have a handful graduate, a handful of guys who just go pro. You're going to have a handful, or not go pro, but leave football, whose career ends. You're going to lose some walk-ons. So you're probably going to lose 20 or so guys every single end of the year, maybe more. Yeah. And to be able to replenish that with 20-ish scholarship guys for the spring is so valuable, at least as it stands in the 85-man era, to where you can run full practices and you can get guys reps. So from the program perspective, it's incredibly important. Charlie, I'm curious from the on-field perspective individually, because, getting there for your first semester is really important. Learning where Welch Hall is, learning where the PCL is, learning where the tank is, that stuff is important, especially for a lot of players. The tank, maybe more than anything else. But how important is it for individual developments, and with Ryan Wingo being a great example, for a guy to get on campus early?
Ryan and Colin.
Yeah, right. It's going to help you mature a whole lot faster. You you got to grow up. For the first time, you're on your own. Nobody's making you get up, really making you get up and go show up for workouts, weigh in, everything else, right? So you got to kind of mature, and it helps a guy graduating early to kind of get acclimated with the whole, how the team is, how the coaches are, how everything is ran, how the strength and conditioning coach is, right? Because that's going to be the main guy you're with in the off season starting in January. And so it really helps you get acclimated quicker, but I think it helps you prepare mentally for the battle you're going to face when you go into the fall, right? You get to go through spring practice for the first time. It's like, you know what? I can play at this level, especially going against teammates like you got at Texas. Like, you really understand, this is a talented team I'm walking into. And if I can just hang with these guys, okay, I got a shot. It builds ton of confidence within the player. So come fall camp, like we see now, when it's time to 2-spot, or like Sark is doing, rotating a lot of young guys, you already faced the toughest team in the spring. I'm mentally and physically prepared to do it. So when I go face the Michigan, the Colorado State, ULM, this is easy for me. I've already gotten accustomed to it. And so it does a lot. And I think that's really how you continue to build quality depth, is getting guys in early, and it does so much for them.
Do you think, we know Ryan Wingo and Colin Simmons were great, are they making this early of an impact if they're not there in the spring?
I'm gonna say no, right? Because you got to learn the playbook, you got to learn insight, you got to learn everything there is. How does the coach really want you to run routes? How do you take notes in meetings so that you can actually prepare to go to practice? There's a lot of things you got to learn on the fly coming in the summer. You come in behind now. It used to be a thing. I know Mac Brown freshmen used to have their own practice away from the veterans and stuff like that, but like coming in early, you learn so much that I think it's hard to catch up in the summer now.
It is. And Colin adding that 20 pounds of muscle in the spring, buddy, you're not holding up over a 2024 season in the SEC without that. So I think it's essential for their success at Texas.
Hey, the tank. That's why we said it's important.
That's good food, man. That's good food up there, brother. Like, you can save your money in Austin because, instead of spending $30 on a plate of Mexican food, you can go eat at the tank and save that cash for shoes or something. That's what I was doing.
Exactly. So a lot of great stuff. Thank y'all for watching this video. Make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel. Also, head to Inside Texas, use the promo code IT1. Get yourself 2 months of access for just $1. Thank you again to our sponsor, Game Time. Remember, if you want to get tickets, go to Game Time. All-in pricing. Can get MLB, NFL, NCAA, maybe even F1. Terms apply. So head there. Justin, Charlie, thank you all. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.